Hey everyone, and welcome to another Marks & Crafts figurine review. Today we're looking at the Chainsaw Man Noodle Stopper made by Furyu. Now this is one of the very first figures that has actually been released of Chainsaw Man, or like Denji in his Chainsaw Man form, and it's a pretty iconic pose for those that have read the manga. And yeah, it's just a really cool, well-designed noodle stopper pose. And there aren't a lot of Chainsaw Man figures out at the moment, and they can only get better from here. If you haven't watched the series, highly recommend it. If you haven't read it, highly recommend that as well. Fujimoto is a very, very wild and incredible author, but you just can't predict anything he writes, and Chainsaw Man is one of my favorites at the moment, and I read it well before the anime came out, and yeah, it's just so good, and I wanted a nice Denji. And while a lot of them are pretty so-so at the moment, because a lot of scale figures haven't come out or haven't even been shown yet, this one seems like it'll be pretty good for the meantime. So here's the main front of the figure, so you can see the main promo image. There's some more on the side, and a core one on the back with the brand info on it, as well as all the legal info on the side. And this is a Crane Game prize, so it's just cheaply made and mass-produced. So nothing too crazy. But we'll pop them open and have a better look. Now here's Denji out of the box, and because this is a noodle stopper, it is a very simple figure because it just lies on a flat surface. Typically, noodle stoppers are sitting down, and you can sort of argue that for the Denji figure, but he is doing a deep squat, and so you can sort of pose him on different surfaces, but because of the chainsaws, you need it to be sort of hanging off a ledge, which is why it works as a noodle stopper, and it is very cool that it is a pose that's actually in the manga, and will eventually be in the anime. So that's really cool. The figure itself is decently well done. We've got all the rough paint apps that you'd need, and I think the colour is pretty spot on. It's not as sort of like washed out as the anime. This is a lot crisper, sort of more in line with what I imagine the manga colors would have been like. There is a lack of depth, like there's not any shading on the figure at all. You can't even see his eyes in his chainsaw form. And then the most obvious thing that it's missing is all the blood on the chainsaws, because he is meant to be covered in blood because the chainsaws are cutting him as well. So it's a very sort of safe work, simple design, but it gets the job done. It's very recognizable as Denji and very recognizable as Chainsaw Man. The pose itself is very good. I like the actual sculpted detail. It's fantastic. Because it's such a simple and clean figure, it's pretty easy to customize, because I'm thinking of painting some blood and grit and things like that on it, and I think it'll make the figure that much better. The actual detail work of the chainsaw arms is good because it cuts off right at his elbows, as it should. The arms are segmented in half, which is very good, and the chainsaw head is pretty nice, even if we could detail it up a bit more, even though I don't think that that's super accurate anyway, but it would be nice just to put a little bit of weathering or a little bit of dry brushing in there. The teeth are all painted in white and very simple, and again, no eyes, but it's pretty good as a mold, and therefore pretty good for customizing. So yeah, it's not too crazy, not too good, not too bad. It's just a very simple noodle stopper. I saw the Vibration Stars figure and I thought that the paint apps on that were pretty messy, whereas this one, it's fairly clean, just lacking in depth. So out of those two, I'd probably recommend this one, and we will be getting tons more figures later on. Keen to see what other prize figure companies do with the IP, but for now, this is the first major Chainsaw Man figure that I've seen that actually looks pretty good. I am keen to pick up the SH Figure Arts when it comes out, because I was severely disappointed in the promo images on the Figma. There's just something off about it, and the price point was just stupid. But yeah, I'm keen to see where this goes. I'm keen to actually customize this one. I think it'll look really, really nice. And I love the pose because I can just chuck it on a shelf and it'll look pretty nice. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Just an all-around pretty good figure for the price point that you're paying, and I think it's a pretty easy figure to customize, so if you wanted to do it yourself, I think it's a pretty good starter for that, or if you're ever interested in customizing and weathering and things like that, I think this is a good starting point. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.